Hi, and welcome to AVS 167, Aircraft Systems Power Plant. My name is Larry Altry, and I'm going to be your instructor this term. And I'm going to go really quickly over the class, how it's going to work, how you're going to earn your points, and some things that we're going to be trying this term that are a little bit different. So first, on getting a hold of me, the most reliable way is by email because that's literally staring me in the face all day long, pretty much most business day hours, so Monday through Friday. I probably won't see it over the weekend unless I know it's coming. You can also give me a call. I will pick up the phone if I'm here. Yeah, don't bother leaving a voicemail because I get so many of those, it's not very reliable as a way of getting a hold of me. So you're better off shooting me an email if I don't answer my phone. Of course, you can always approach me before or after class as well. Required materials this term, good news, they're free. It's the Aviation Maintenance Technician Handbook is what we're going to use. And yes, I know that you're not trying to become a mechanic for a living. It just happens to be the very best reference that we have for learning aircraft systems at the moment. The textbook we used to use, Aircraft Systems for Pilots, published by Jeppesen, is no longer in print. And it drew heavily off of the FAA handbooks anyway. The handbooks have been updated drastically over the last few years, and so they're actually quite good. Nice color pictures, pretty good explanations of everything. You're going to have to be a little bit selective about what you study because some of it really is aimed towards maintaining the aircraft rather than flying them. But I'll give you some guidance in class on how to do that. You're going to need a modern POH, also known as a PIM, so Pilot Operating Handbook or Pilot Information Manual, preferably for the aircraft that you are flying. You're going to need to hook up to the internet. D2L is heavily used in this class. I'm going to be uploading, or at least my intention is to upload a lot of video content this term, so that's where we will store that video content is on D2L. A set of colored pencils is handy when you're trying to figure out new systems. Coloring in a paper copy of the system is often a really great way to learn the system well. So you may want to pick up a pack of colored pencils, just your basics. Other than that, just a notepad, writing utensils, and the big thing is bring your mind to it. Grading in this class is pretty straightforward. Attendance is worth 30 points. We're going to be doing a lot in class, not just lecture, but a lot of exploration. Full credit only if you're here on time. Homework is worth 30 points. There's quite a bit of it, and that will come in a couple of different formats. Some Word documents that you can fill in and then submit in D2L, and also some quizzes to help you get ready for the big exams. And we'll assign due dates as we go on those. Group work is okay on all of the homework and daily quizzes. Feel free to work together on those, but you do have to submit your individual work even if you help each other with it. Otherwise, I can't put the grade in. We'll make sure that we correct these to 100% in class. Exams are worth a total of 60 points. They're split up between 10 points each for the midterms and then 20 points for the final exam. If your score improves as you go along, I'll adjust the previous score. So if you do better on the final, for instance, than you did on midterm number 2, I'll bump midterm number 2 up a little bit for you. The grading scale is ABCF. There's no D's in aviation science. That was a directive from our advisory board that has all the chief pilots on it. They said nobody wants to fly with the D pilot, so we don't have D's. So it's 90, 80, 70, and anything below that's not passing. Basic rules of engagement here are show up on time prepared, and I want to emphasize prepared here. I'm going to be experimenting this term with easing us into what they're calling nowadays a flipped classroom, where I provide some of the lecture content in video format online so that you can view that at home. And then you can come in and we can work on the material in a real life scenario, and maybe do some exploration in the hangar here, and get a little bit more hands-on with it, a little bit more practical in the classroom time. But that won't work if you're not prepared. It's really super important if I tell you to view the lecture online that you have done that, and done any homework that I assign prior to showing up for class. Otherwise, it will be a waste of time. Again, work on everything except for the midterms and the final. Do the reading. Really important that you take the time to read this thing. Yes, if you're not into aircraft systems, it's probably pretty dry. I find it kind of interesting, actually. Yeah, but then, of course, I'm a mechanic. I'm an A&P mechanic, and I've been messing around with maintaining aircraft for a lot of years. And so to me it's interesting, and I hope you find it interesting too, since your life is literally hanging off the back of this engine. But do make sure you do the reading regardless, and have your highlighter out or the electronic equivalent of that if you're reading it in PDF. Be curious. Attitude is everything. Make it a point to know your aircraft and be proud of the fact that you know it better than the next guy. Um, that really shows up on the oral portion of your check rides in particular. The official intended outcomes for this class are pretty straightforward. We want you to be able to analyze and explain the systems and structures of a typical general aviation aircraft related to the power plant. So the power plant is all the systems on the aircraft that are directly related to the engine. And then demonstrate the understanding of the proper operation of the systems related to the power plant. So understand how it works and how to operate it. That's pretty straightforward. But what's behind that? Why do we want to do this? One of my objectives here is to give you a taste of what it's like to learn systems, because you're going to be learning systems literally for the rest of your career. And it's an important piece of it. If you think this class is a lot of information, wait till you get to your first job in a turbine environment, either in the airlines or in the helicopter companies. It's like I've had graduates tell me it's like trying to take a sip out of a fire hydrant. Well, uh, use this opportunity to develop some skills in how to learn, some highlighting skills, some outlining skills, whatever maybe some flashcards, develop some flashcards, whatever works for you as a study aid. I also want you to be a safer, more effective pilot, and down the road here, an employee. Technical proficiency is a really big part of being safe as a pilot. I also want you to be able to interface with mechanics. We, as pilots, have earned ourselves the contempt of most A&P mechanics, because your typical pilot, especially in the beginning, is really pretty ignorant of how their aircraft operates. And so as you approach mechanics, their initial stance is going to be, yeah, what's this pilot going to know about this? Well, my experience is also that pilots, or excuse me, mechanics are very willing to change their mind about you personally if you can just show them a time or two that you really do understand and take seriously the maintenance and the mechanics of how the aircraft work. Um, and again, this is a point of pride. When I think of the pilots that I respect the most, they all know their aircraft, whether they're a mechanic or not, or whether they have that background of any sort. They know their aircraft inside and out. Anytime you're doing reading, since we're going to be reading in the Aviation Maintenance Technology Handbook, I want you to keep these 5 things in mind. These are the things that a pilot needs to know about how the aircraft operates, because you don't really, in most cases, need to know how to torque a bolt or safety wire something. But you do need to be able to handle every contingency. And so in order to do that, for each stated system, whether it be the fuel metering system or the engine itself, you need to know what it is, you need to know how it works, you need to know what can fail on it, and you need to know what the symptoms are if that has failed. And then finally, and maybe most importantly, you need to know what to do next. Now, a lot of times, the what you do next is fly the airplane and pull out a checklist. But that's not always the case. For instance, if your engine starts to sputter, really important that you get that carburetor heat on if you're in a normally aspirated, carbureted aircraft. Because that's probably 9 times out of 10 going to fix the problem right there. But regardless of what is going on, you need to know those 5 things. That's it for now. I'll put up another video here for the content for the first day, but this is how the class breaks down. Please feel free to email me anytime you have any questions.